All right, y'all, come on in, come on in, come on in. I know it's impromptu. I'm always doing impromptu stuff. Family, y'all can come on in. I am at an undisclosed location with my brothers, apostles of New Jerusalem. Right now, we're at their school. We're getting it as you come in the house, family. Y'all already know what to do. I'm not gonna keep way too long for some people to come in. I just want to make sure that we could be loud and clear. As you guys come in, you already know the etiquette. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Stop being stingy, or you can dislike the video too. Don't dislike it because of them. Dislike it because y'all don't like me. You know what I'm talking about? Let's go, let's go, let's go. Shalom. Say something in the chat. Let me know we can be heard. Shalom, shalom. What's going on, family? Also, if you guys can share this to Facebook. All right, I see my man Zion. My man Zion from Cleveland in the building. Shalom, shalom, shalom to you, King. Most High bless, Most High bless. All righty, all righty. So, brothers, shalom. Welcome to another edition of Maccabeestv. It's your brother, Priest Danyaahla, and I'm honored to be sitting here with two brothers, man, that are zealous for this truth. So, for those of you that may be your first time seeing these brothers, we'll start with the young man first. Introduce yourself to the people.
My name is Brother Aitaziah Razamoth.
Okay. And brother to your right, you seem like you're a new jack. Introduce yourself to the people that don't know you.
Popular lawyer.
All right, Mathafi, a lawyer. What camp are you brothers a part of?
Apostles of New Jerusalem, one nation.
More apostles of New Jerusalem, one nation, all praise to the Most High. So, Mathaf, the last time that you were on the channel, we had a great conversation. No, actually, you were on twice. The first time we just did a little quickie outside when we came to New Jersey and was teaching downtown Patterson. We had a little quick conversation. And then we had a nice, more at length conversation about the calendar when we were out in California. So,
no, even before that, we had one when I was living in Newark up the hill.
Oh yeah, right.
We had that one first, then we did Cali after.
Right. Okay. So, I see a Rock Rob in the building.
Shalom, man.
Rock Rob, you know these brothers?
You know him very well.
Yes. Okay. All praises. All praises.
Brother.
Yes, sir. Indeed. Okay. So, I don't really want to keep too much of you brothers' time. So let's get right into the first subject that I want to talk about, which is the calendar, right? So we're coming up on Passover. We don't seem to have these conversations any other time of the year except when Passover which is going to approach, which is kind of makes sense because obviously Abib is the first month of the year. It's the beginning of the year to us, right? So we always tend to have these conversations every year about Passover. Now, you know and I know that there are diverging dates and diverging calendars all throughout Israel. So, what I want you to do is I want you to start off from the basics and work your way up and just go in the spirit. What is the proper way to calculate when the Passover should be coming in?
Well, the proper way to calculate it is according to the moon. You know, knowing when the month of Abib is, and after you know when the month of Abib is, you know, knowing how to count 15 days. And then you'll get your Passover based off what you read in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, as far as it tells you the first day, 14th month at sundown, which is the 15th day. And it's just that simple. Now, again, you know, you have some brothers that they follow the dark moon. You have some brothers that follow the first light. Doesn't matter. You understand what I'm saying? Because we're in rehearsal right now. And because we're in rehearsal, the debate shouldn't be over whether it's the dark moon or the first light. The thing should be that you do it in sincerity. But as long as you're following the proper steps, you understand when the month of Abib is, you know, based off of your lunar calendar, and you just organize your days accordingly, like the first month, the 15th day to the 21st day. And the reason why is because that first month, 15th day, is your unleavened bread begins that first day, but it's Passover night, that night. Then you still have to have your 7-day celebration. And at the 7th day, you come back together on that 21st day of the month, and you do what? You close out the unleavened bread, because that's a 7-day feast of eating unleavened bread, the first day being the Passover. But whether you follow it on from the dark moon or the first light, you know, it's neither here nor there. Like I know brothers that follow the first light. If that's what they see in your Habashah and they do it sincerely, then leave it be. You understand? There's only a couple of days off. As long as they're doing it according to the scriptures, that's what counts. You understand what I'm saying? As far as what you read, first month, 15th day. So if somebody's first month is 2 days after yours, that's not your concern, that's their concern. As long as they're lining up on the 15th day and you do yours properly to do it in sincerity.
All right. Now, we had a conversation when we last spoke, so I think we should review it again for the new people. There's something that you were going into that a lot of people aren't aware of with the calendar when it comes to the calendar. You were speaking about airing,
right,
so forth and so on, because sometimes, some years, some brothers hold Passover out of season. It seems to be too early. So what are some of the signs that we should be looking for to know that we are actually in the right season with Passover?
Understand it. See, it's not even so much Passover, right? It's your harvest seasons. Think about it. Like, I'm gonna run down all the feast days, right? You have the Passover, which is the unleavened bread, which is the first day, 15th day of the month to the 21st day of the month, right? Then you have the day of Simon, which is the second month, 23rd day. Now, I'm just going to say the first fruits, and this is all I'm going to say, but I'm going to come back to that. Then in the 7th month, you have 7th month, first day, the memorial blowing of the trumpets, which falls on the new moon. 7th month, 10th day is what? Your Day of Atonement. 7th month, 15th day to the 22nd day is your Feast of Tabernacles. 9th month, the 25th day to either the 2nd or 3rd day based off the new moon, because new moons, a new month is either 29 or 30 days. So when we're talking about dedication of the altar, it's the 9th month, right? It's the 9th month, the 25th day to either the 2nd or 3rd day, based off if that 9th month has 29 days or that 9th month may have 30 days. Based off the second and 3rd day of the 10th month, right? Then you got Purim, you got the day of Judas and everything that's coming up, which is the 12th month, the 13th, 14th, and the 15th day. The day of Judas, which is the 12th month, 13th day. The day of Purim, so Mordecai's day of Purim, which is the 12th month, 14th or 15th and 15th day, which is coming up next week for brothers, right? Notice when you read Leviticus 23rd chapter, it doesn't give you a specific day and a month for the first fruits. Why is that? It's a reason why, because that goes according to your harvest season. Because the first fruits is known as several things. It's known as the Feast of First Fruits. The first fruits of what? That's your first question, right? Then it says the Feast of Wheat, right? The Feast of Wheat is called the Feast of Barley, right? It's not ingathering. Ingathering is the 7th month, the 10th, it's tabernacles. So when brother says ingathering, it's not ingathering. The 7th month and the 7th month, the 15th to the 22nd day, according to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, that's your ingathering. When you're gathering all your crops, because that's year's end, harvest year's end. But anywhere you look in the scriptures, the Feast of First Fruits does not have a specific day. So based off your barley season and your wheat season, when they come in, and that's why you have to know a solar calendar, because we don't farm by the moon. We farm by what? The sun. We farm by the sun. And when you understand a solar calendar as well as a lunar calendar, that's how time was told. So if a nation tells time by a solar calendar, the Most High said they could, because he ordained that in Genesis. That's been ordained in Genesis. You need to understand both, because look at all the parables that Yahweh dropped. He dropped all those parables based off farming and agriculture, right? The sow and the seed, things like that. All those things were based off first fruits. We're the first fruits in Yahweh. So now, why is it that in the scriptures, the first fruits doesn't have a day in a month like all the other feast days have? They have a set day and a set month. Has anybody ever thought about that? It's a reason why. You have to understand the harvest seasons for that. In order for you to get an understanding of the first fruits, you have to have a mentality of a farmer. Because the first day of the first fruits, right, which a lot of brothers don't celebrate, but you should be celebrating, is the end of your barley harvest, right? The 50th day of the first fruits is the end of your wheat harvest. That's why I tells you on the first day, of the barley harvest, what are you supposed to do? Give that offering up to the Most High. You give that offering up to the Most High so that the rest of your crops will be blessed. You wave. It's a wave offering. You bring a basket of all your tenth of your barley. You bring it to the priest, and it's a wave offering. So that's why you have to understand a solar calendar, because you need to understand when to establish your first fruits. And now, when that comes into play, knowing that a lunar calendar is 354 days, and the solar calendar is 365 days, understand that every year the days are going to go back 11 days. Like, for example, this year coming up, you have to add a 13th new moon, because if you don't, your Passover will be in early March, which, if you understand when the bid begins, the spring equinox comes in, it's around March 19th, 20. That's why when you look in the Zion Living Bible Dictionary, it tells you a bid, March, April, because new moons overlap solar calendar months. They always have and they always will be, based off the days in the lunar calendar opposed to the days of a solar calendar. So every 3 years or 2 years, you want to add a 13th moon so that your harvest season, which is the first fruits, can be aligned correctly. Now, remember that document that I gave you, Dan, with the chart of when the harvest comes in? If you don't add a 13th moon every 3 years, every three years, you'll be behind 30 days. So that means your Passover can be in every season, and your would be in every season if you don't add that moon. So you can't have that. You have to make sure you understand when to add a 13th moon. You understand what I'm saying? So that all your things can be properly aligned. The reason why we didn't add it this year is why? Because Passover is going to fall around what? Passover falls around March 29th. I'm sorry, March 26th, rather. For us, that is. Some brothers, they got the 27th or the 28th. That's fine, as long as that's what you believe. That's what you believe. It's okay. It's not a problem. If that's what you see, that's what you see in your house. Just be sincere in what you do. So with that being said, you see what I'm saying? If we don't add another moon at the end of this year, our Passover is going to be smack dead in the wintertime, knowing that the spring equinox is always around March 19th and 20th. So that's the reason why you have to add a moon based off the harvest season. And you can look up any scripture you want. You will never find a set day of when the first fruit comes in. It's not going to be the second month, the 5th day, or this. It's strictly based off the barley harvest. The barley harvest is right around the middle of May. All you got to do is ask a farmer. Go to look up on a farmer's website. Barley comes in between May, the second week and the third week of May is when barley harvest is right. You understand? And then around July, late June, early July is when the 50th day should come. That's your wheat harvest. See, if you have that understanding on when that feast day comes into play, because you're not supposed to count the days right after the Passover, because right after the Passover, nothing's really growing. Why? Because you just came out of wintertime. Things aren't in the ear, so to speak. I'm sorry, things are in the ear. They're not earing. When something's in the ear, that means it's sprouting forth. That's what a bib means, in the ear. And the reason why they called it in the ear, because when something's in the ear, like when you see a flower in the ear, that means it still has the green around it, hasn't fully sprouted yet. But now when something's in earing time, that means it's ready to be picked.
So my question is, you said you don't start counting the 50 days right after the Passover. When do you start counting the 50 days?
Like, you should start counting the 50 days. I got a calendar right here, just to give you an understanding. Then we're going to go into some scriptures, right?
Okay, sure. I'm going to come right with you.
You should start counting. You should start counting your 50 days, because it tells you on the morrow after the Sabbath, right? Now, the morrow after the Sabbath is talking about a regular Sabbath. So meaning Saturday sundown, right? Saturday sundown is when you're supposed to start counting your days. Whichever, like, for example, say if the harvest season is May 15th, right? So from Saturday sundown is when you start counting 50 days. Because remember, it says, go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. You have to count 7 consecutive Sabbaths and it has to equal 50 days. Say, for example, if you start counting the day after the Passover, right? If you start counting, say the Passover is March 24th, right? If you start counting March 24th, because you're thinking that tomorrow after the Sabbath is this Sabbath, it's going to end, if you count 7 weeks, it's not going to end on a Saturday sundown. It has to begin on a Saturday sundown and end on a Saturday sundown. That's why it says after the 7th Sabbath, the morrow after, then you set up a new sacrifice. But we're going to go into the scriptures. Go to Leviticus 23rd chapter, quick fast.
So can I ask something?
Go.
Seeing as though the Passover is literally coming in on the Sabbath this year, for those who observe on the 26th.
Right, which is a coincidence, right?
Right. We count that Sabbath, which is, do we start the following Sabbath or the Saturday the next day?
Nah, see, understand something. Remember, the scripture says, in earing time and harvest time is when thou shalt rest. Rest meaning it's a Sabbath day.
Right.
Because in earing time is the barley harvest, right? And the harvest time, that's the wheat harvest. Around the Passover, the barley is not in earing time. It's only in the ear. You see what I'm saying? First go to Exodus. Exodus, I think it's the 13th chapter, right? Go to Exodus, the 13th chapter. So you don't start counting after the Passover. Because remember, things are just starting to grow. Exodus 9 and 31, right?
Exodus 9 and 31.
Come on. So this is the reason why you don't count after the Passover. Because the Passover for us is this day, right? So now, if I start counting here, remember, winter just ended here. So how is it in 7 days life is fully in bloom to where it's right? That's why a bib just means in the ear, meaning things are starting to bloom now. Life is starting to come back into the earth because the trees aren't dead. They're just sleeping. They hibernate. That's why they go into that mode. They reserve energy. They hibernate, and then they come back to life. Well, they revive themselves out of hibernation, like animals hibernate. Some animals hibernate over the time. So now, read what was going on during the Passover many years ago. Read that Exodus 9:31.
Exodus 9 and 31. And the flax and the barley was smitten.
Right.
But the barley was in the ear.
Right.
And the flax was bold.
Right. So it says the flax in a what?
Barley.
Right.
Was smitten.
It was smitten, right?
But the barley was in the ear.
Right.
And the flax was bold.
So when it was in the ear, the reason why it was in the ear, it was just sprouting up. So it was just sprouting out of the ground. That's why when this plague hit, Egypt was destroyed. But it wasn't earing time yet. It was just in the ear. That's all that it was. It wasn't ripe for picking, but nevertheless, the crops were being destroyed for that purpose to break down the Egyptians. But they weren't trying to pick it. It was still in the ear, right? So now, go to Exodus, the 32nd chapter, I think it is. Right? So, around that time in Egypt, it was what? Now, Egypt has the same type of climate as Israel. In our homeland, same type of climate because they're in the Middle East, right? Go to Exodus, the 32nd chapter, I think it is, right? Exodus, the 32nd chapter, and I'm sorry, the 34th chapter and the 21st verse.
All right.
Because now it's going to give you clues on when you're supposed to do what? Pick your harvest, right? It's going to give you clues and characteristics on when you're supposed to do the tabernacles. I'm not the tabernacle, I mean the first fruits, all right? So read that in 34:21. Read that.
Exodus 34:21. 6 days thou shalt work.
Right.
But on the 7th day thou shalt rest.
So we know 6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest. Read on.
In earing time and in harvest time thou shalt rest.
So it says what?
Earing time and harvest time thou shalt rest.
So it says in earing time, what's earing time? When the barley is fully blown. And then when it's harvest time, what's harvest time? When your wheat is fully bloomed. But then it says, thou shalt rest. So on the first day is a Shabbat. Because when you read in the Hebrew, it says what? Shabbat.
Shabbat, yes.
So it's a day of rest, meaning because some brothers don't realize the first day of the first fruits is a Sabbath. That's your scripture to prove it. So, and it's a reason why we're going to go into that in Deuteronomy. So it says in earing time and in harvest time, thou shalt rest. So on the first day thou shalt rest, because it's something that you have to do. It's a ceremonial day for the whole nation. And then in the 50th day, thou shalt rest again, right? Why is that? Because this is when you start to take your barley down on that first day. You're preparing your 10th offering and you're bringing it to the priest. Go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. We're going to go over that quick fast just to show what was going on. And then you know we're going to go into Deuteronomy, right?
Yeah.
All right, don't worry about it. If you don't know, I got it. But Leviticus 23rd chapter. So read that for me. Start at verse.
9.
Yeah, 9. Come.
Leviticus 23 and 9. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits.
So stop right there. When you're going to reap the harvest? In earing time, right? And in harvest time. Because it's going to break down how you're going to reap it twice. One for one thing, one for the other thing. Read on.
All right. Then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
Right.
And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Sabbath.
So now, it says, ye shall take the sheaf and wave it before the Lord on the morrow after the Sabbath. So now, understand, what was this ceremony that was going on right here? Because this was actually a ceremony. Going to Deuteronomy. 26. And then we're going to go back and finish up. Because you got to paint a picture. One thing that, Ari always taught, paint a picture. So now it says, wave a sheaf, right? So it's something that, and remember, we read in Exodus 24:31, it said, in earing and in harvest thou shalt rest. Those will be Sabbaths for a reason. So give me that in Deuteronomy, the 26th chapter.
Right. Deuteronomy 26 and 3. And thou shalt go unto the priest in those days, and say unto him,
Come.
I profess this day unto the Lord that I am come. Wait, let me start at 1.
Come.
Yeah. Deuteronomy 26 and 1. And it shall be, when thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for inheritance, and possesses it, and dwelleth therein, thou shalt take of the first of all thy fruit of the earth.
So what's this? The feast of first fruits. You have to break it down and paint the picture. So when the person wants to bring a sheaf, this is what's going on. This is the transaction that's going on between that family, that household, that man, and that priest. That's why it was important for all males to come before the Lord. Read on.
Thou shalt take of the first fruits of all the earth, which thou shalt bring of the land that the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shall put it in a basket, and shall go into the place where the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name there.
Right, because at that time, Jerusalem wasn't the city where the Most High's name was. It wasn't appointed at this time. It was wherever if you see the tabernacle right there, the tabernacle in ancient times went all throughout Israel behind the blackboard. It went all throughout Israel. And the tabernacle was the size of a football field. If you want to break down, that's how big it wasn't. It wasn't small. It was the size of a football field when you break it down. Read on.
Thou shalt go unto the priest that shall be in those days, and say
Right.
unto him, I profess this day unto the Lord thy God that I am come into the country which the Lord sware unto the fathers for to give us.
Right. So this is the ceremony that went on between the priest and the man when he gave the first fruits on the first day. This is of the barley harvest. Read on.
Right. And the priest shall take the basket out of thine hand and set it down before the altar of the Lord thy God.
Right. Remember the wave offering? It says they shall wave it. This is what he's doing. Read on.
And thou shalt speak and say before the Lord thy God, a Syrian ready to perish was my father. And he went down unto Egypt and sojourned there with a few, and became there a mighty nation.
Right. That Syrian is talking about is Jacob, whose name we know was changed to Israel, because he went down to Egypt and became a mighty nation. Read on.
Right. Great and mighty and populous. And the Egyptians evil evil entreated us and afflicted us and laid upon us hard bondage. And when we cried unto the Lord God of our fathers, the Lord heard our voice and looked on our affliction and our labor and our oppression.
Read a little bit louder, King.
All right. And the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm and with great terribleness and with signs and with wonders, and hath brought us unto this place and hath given us this land, even a land that floweth with milk and honey. And now, behold, I have brought the first fruit of thy land.
Read it again.
And now I have brought the first fruits of thy land,
Right.
which thou, O Lord, hast given me.
So this was done every year. After the first ceremony, it was done every year the same way. Every year. That's why Leviticus, what we're reading in the 23rd chapter, is breaking it down. This is what was said. And that's why it was a Sabbath, because it was a ceremony. It just wasn't you was bringing a wheat, your tenth and all that. It was a whole ceremony. And then after that, it was a big celebration. Read on.
And thou shalt set it before the Lord thy God, and shalt worship before the Lord thy God.
Right.
And thou shalt rejoice in every good thing which the Lord thy God hath given unto thee, and unto thine house, and thou and the Levite and the stranger that is among you.
Right. So read on. So that's it on that, right? So the thing was this. You had to do that ceremony on the first day, which is the barley harvest, in order for the rest of your crops to be blessed. How do we know that? Go back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. But you notice it's telling you, okay, in earing time and in harvest time, but it still didn't give you a direct day. Like the other ones go by and this is why we use a solely lunar calendar. We use a solar calendar to get our feast days, as well as we use the lunar calendar, because the first fruits is determined by a solar calendar. Because anybody that knows farming, you don't farm by the moon, you farm by the sun. You understand? Because if you farm by the moon, you'll be farming in the wintertime. You understand what I'm saying? You farm by the sun, you know when the sun rises, sets, the whole 9 yards. You know how all that goes into effect. So the first fruits has to be established by the solar aspect of the sun, based off we're farmers. You go into the Farmer's Almanac, it explains all that. You see what I'm saying? So go back to Leviticus where we was, the 23rd chapter, and pick up where you left off at.
All right, Leviticus 23:11. And he shall wave the sheep before the Lord,
right,
to be accepted for you.
So you know now the ceremony is in Deuteronomy the 26th chapter of what was being said. Read on.
On the morrow after the Sabbath.
So it says on the morrow after the Sabbath. What Sabbath is talking about? It's talking about the regular Sabbath, right? So now we're getting another clue. When is it supposed to be? On the morrow after the Sabbath. Now, what Sabbath? Go to Leviticus the 16th chapter.
While he's looking for that scripture, family, if you're just coming in, hit the thumbs up button, man. We got Elder Mathath here. He's going through,
Deuteronomy 16.
Right, he's going through this thing with the calendar because a lot of brothers do not understand the calendar. You guys don't understand the way the holy days are set up, and the brothers taking time to do it. Y'all can hit that thumbs up button. Go ahead, bro.
Leviticus 16 verse 9 it is. I'm done. Deuteronomy 16 verse 9. Salah.
Deuteronomy 16:9. 7 weeks shall thy number unto thee.
It says 7 weeks shall thou number unto thee, right?
Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn.
So it says 7 weeks thou shalt number unto thee. It says beginnest to number the 7 weeks from the time you put the sickle to the corn. Now it's not talking about corn on the cob. Because if you know what corn actually is to a farmer, barley, wheat, rye, all that's classified as corn.
Right.
When you look it up in the Hebrew, what is that talking about? It's talking about barley. So it says 7 weeks thou shalt number, beginnest when you put the sickle to the corn. What corn? In earing time, the first day of the first fruits. When the barley is ripe, it's in the earing process, not in the ear. It has to be in the earing process, meaning it has to be fully ripe and ready to roll out. Because when it's in the ear, it's still green. When it's ripe, you see that thing sticking out. So brothers say, oh, well, corn on the cob doesn't grow in Israel. Who said it was talking about corn on the cob? And that's why it's good to know the Hebrew, because it explains it to you what it is in the Hebrew. It's good to know the Hebrew. It's talking about barley. So now you have to understand, as a farmer, come out of the city mind frame and understand, well, when would the barley harvest be? When would it begin? When would it start? If you go into any calendar, it'll tell you the barley harvest would end around the second, third week of May, or I'm sorry, the third or the fourth week of May, depending, because it's 5 weeks in this month. Between the 15th and the 22nd, somewhere during that time period would be around your barley harvest. You could do it the 8th if you want even. You could do it the 29th if you want even. But it has to be in this 4-week window to set your barley harvest. Because remember, on this feast day, it says you're putting the sickle to the corn. It's not saying the first month, 15th day. It says begin the number to count the days when you put the sickle to the corn. So now, if the barley's only in the ear during the time of when we were getting out of Egypt, what are you giving to the Most High? You can't give him a sacrifice. You can't give him an offering that's not right.
So technically,
And nobody, that's very important. Say that again, man. You can't bring the priests an offering that's not right.
You can't say, yo, here goes my corn, but it's still in the air.
Yeah.
They're like, well, what are we as priests supposed to do with this?
Right.
Because because listen, the 10th is for what? The Levites. Remember, the Most High said he gave Aaron and his sons the sacrifices. That's their gift from the Most High. They either the sacrifices and the offerings. That's what they get. You understand what I'm saying? So how you gonna give them something if you're starting to count your days in March? When it clearly says it's supposed to be an earing time when you put the sickle to the corn. When's the corn? The corn is the barley. Now let me see if I got my book downstairs with that map that I showed you so I give you a bird's eye view. Just finish kicking it for me. I think I got it down here in the back. If not, I know I got it upstairs.
So that means first fruit's gonna be ending up in June.
Right.
Right. So understand something. I'm gonna keep it real before I go get this book. The first day is gonna be around here.
Yeah, 7 Sabbaths afterwards.
Your 50th day is either gonna be here, or here. Our first fruits, the way we calculate it, always lands around here. Always lands around here, the 3rd or the 10th, based off the way we calculate it. But I'm gonna show you why we calculate it that way. Well, as soon as let me go get the book quick fast.
Right. All right, family. So, Elder Mathath is definitely dropping. We're inside their school. This is Apostles in New Jerusalem. For those of y'all that don't know, the school is located in Orange, New Jersey. I'm going to make sure that they definitely get the information. As a matter of fact, King, while we're waiting for Mathath, go ahead and give the information for the school. What's the website? Like, where can people reach you, brothers, if they want to come and fellowship with you, brothers?
Okay, now our website will be anj12.com. So right now we're reamping it a little, but it should be up 100% real soon. That's anj12.com.
anj12.com, anj144.com. So it's all good.
Right, for those of y'all that's just coming in, we're having a discussion. We had this discussion about 2 years ago when we were in California. And so the elder reached out to me and said he wanted me to come back and he wanted to talk about a little bit more concerning the Passover. How do we know we're in the right season for the Passover and the first fruit and just the calendar in general? This is a conversation that we need to have more because a lot of brothers are not familiar with how we get the dates. You're following behind the so-called Jews. All right, show them the cover of the book first, King, if you could.
Yeah, this is an old school book right here.
Okay, so Holman Bible Atlas. All praises. Okay. Yep.
So now when you check out this chart, right, I'm going to read this. It says, the cycle of plowing, sowing, and harvesting involved the entire population in ancient times. The graphic below correlates various aspects of the agricultural year. Remember, we were farmers. The first fruits is based off what? Agriculture. We proved that with the scriptures, right? It says, giving an impression of seasonal demands. Pastoral activities and tasks associated with the cultivation of vineyards, orchards are also included. The ancient Israelite calendar was based off the phases of the moon, a lunar calendar, but the solar year determined the agricultural cycle. What agricultural cycle are we talking about? The Feast of First Fruits, showing that we do use a lunar calendar for our days of the month. But the solar calendar determines the first fruits based off when the harvest comes in. So now, if you check it out, because some brothers, like I said, they only understand because it talks about the wheat. But in earing time is the barley harvest. Because we're gonna go into it, because now we showed that the first day is a Sabbath, So brothers are supposed to be celebrating that first day because it tells you in earing time and in harvest time, thou shalt rest. On the first day is when you bought your barley crops. That's when you bought your barley crops because this is when the barley season begins, right? The barley harvest starts in like March, April, but it ends in like late April, early May. You see how that goes? You see why it's tilted more over to the April, May side? Why do you think that is? Because the end result of the end result, right, of your barley when it's in earing is late April, the middle of May. That's why it says number the days, start numbering the days once you put the sickle to the corn. You're not going to put the sickle to the corn in March or April. Why? It's still in the ear. You're going to put it to the corn during May when it's what? Fully in earing. And then from there, you count 50 days. Then you'll get your wheat harvest, right? Which is what? It goes into June. And that's why some brothers will get June. Some brothers are going to early July. Other brothers based off how you cut your harvest down in May. So that's how you read these maps. But notice it's giving you the Babylonian, but here's what we deal with. May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So that's how you deal with that cycle. So remember, and the first fruits is the only one that we celebrate. As far as with no actual date. Every other feast day has an actual month and a day. And with the first fruits, it's strictly by the sun. Because why you use the sun for your agriculture. So finish reading that Leviticus.
All right. Leviticus?
Yeah, come.
All right. Leviticus 23 and 12. And ye shall offer that day when ye have waved the sheaf, and he lamb without blemish,
right,
of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Lord. And a meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour.
Right, the meat offering, some brothers try to say, no, meat offering is just a matzah. That's all that it is. It's unleavened bread. That's all that it is. It just, you use the terminology meat offering, but it's actually unleavened bread mixed with oil. Read on.
A meat offering thereof shall be 2 tins dill of fine flour,
right,
mingled with oil.
Right.
An offering made by fire unto the Lord for a sweet savor, and a drink offering thereof shall be of a wine, the fourth part of an hin.
And we know the ordinances we don't have to deal with. Because why? Yahweh Shah is that high priest now. Yahweh Shah is the true high priest and the only high priest. So once he died on the cross, those oblations, those ordinances, we don't have to deal with anymore. But it's just good to know anyway, because that's your history. Read on.
And ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn nor green ears unto the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations.
Read that part again.
And ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn nor green ears.
But meaning right ears, read on.
Unto the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God.
So what you had to do is before you started eating of any of your first fruits, you had to give the Most High's portion. Because if you didn't, you was going to curse your crops for the rest of the year. Read on.
It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings.
So it's significant to celebrate the first day of first fruits. A lot of brothers didn't celebrate it because they didn't realize it didn't just come out and say Sabbath. You understand? And they have to understand why it's only, the reason why it's only acknowledged as far as the 50th day, meaning Pentecost, or Pentecost means the day of 50. The only reason why it's acknowledged is because by that time, who ruled the land? Rome. Mm-hmm. They ruled the land. Men got their land seized from them. So nobody was really doing the first fruits on that level. The ones who, most of the nation, we were being what? Taken down slowly but surely. Our land was being taken from us. So we didn't have power. We didn't have our land. So that's why the first day not really emphasized. And you just see them coming together because previously they sold all their land. Remember, they sold every possession they had and they started to build a nation amongst themselves within the Roman Empire. They divided everything up. So they didn't have land. That's why it didn't emphasize the first day. It emphasized the 50th day. But it doesn't mean they didn't celebrate the first day. That was just a story of when they first got that spiritual power on that high level. That's what was the story was being emphasized. But don't think they didn't celebrate the first day because they did. Because it tells you a statute for what? Forever. Read on.
Right. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath.
So it says from the morrow after the Sabbath. So we know our Sabbath is what? Friday sundown, right? So our Sabbath is Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. So the morrow after the Sabbath begins what? Saturday night, right? Read on.
All right. From the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths.
So hold on for a minute. You notice it still didn't give an exact date.
Right.
It said from the day you gave the sheep offering, which was the barley, you count on the morrow after the Sabbath. So if you gave the sheep offering on the 15th, that Saturday sundown, it says you start counting 7 Sabbaths. Read on.
7 Sabbaths shall be complete.
It says 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. So if you count 7 Sabbaths, right?
Yeah.
If you count 7 Sabbaths, you should count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Say you count there. Within them 7 Sabbaths, you're going to have 49 days.
Right.
And then when that new Sabbath comes, that's going to be the 50th day. That's how you determine it. So that's how you know it's not talking about the morrow after a regular feast day. That's a Sabbath. Like when brothers would count the morrow after the Passover. You can't.
Yeah. Right.
Because the first day has to be the morrow after the Sabbath and the 50th day. And I'm not knocking the brothers that follow the lunar calendar and they determine their days of the week. But if you determine your days of the week and say the new day begins with the new moon, you'll never be able to celebrate this feast day. Because you have to have 7 Sabbaths and 50 days. It has to be a combination of both. And like I said, if brothers are sincere in that, and that's cool. So it's not knocking or attacking them. That's the reason why when I investigated it, I seen I couldn't celebrate this. So I just said, that just wasn't for me. But if that works for brothers, Yahweh speed. Because brothers doing it in sincerity, they ain't not missing the beat. So you can't attack them if they're not missing the beat. You understand what I'm saying? Don't make no sense to attack a brother, he's not missing the beat with it.
Right.
If that's what they believe, that's what they believe. Because guess what? That's not going to determine salvation when you sincere.
I like the.
That's not going to determine salvation when you sincere. That's why I don't argue over the first light, the new moon, and dark moon. That doesn't determine salvation. If everybody's doing it in sincerity, IUIC, they do what? Full moon.
Full moon.
They do it in sincerity. So what's the big beef? Leave them alone.
Right.
Because if you was over there, your ass be doing it too.
Same
If
thing,
you was
yeah.
with GMS, you be doing it too.
Lunar Sabbath. Yep.
So why are you knocking it for? Brothers believe in sincerity. Let brothers rock out in your house shot, because everybody's not going to see everything the same way. But one thing we got to see the same way is love your brother as yourself. Because that's what your house shot said according to Leviticus. That's the Old Testament according to Leviticus. So finish reading that. Can you finish with that? Finish reading that because there's some more left, I think.
Yeah, verse 15 again. And ye shall count the morrow, and you shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheep of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath,
right,
shall ye number 50 days.
And you see, it has to be 7 Sabbaths. Then after the 7th Sabbath, 50 days. Then this is what you do. Read on.
And ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord. Ye shall bring out your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2/10 deals. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baken with leaven.
Right, because on the first day, you did the barley. On the 7th Sabbath, you did the wheat. And then you counted 50 days and you gave up that sacrifice. So that's to show you that it's not the day after the Passover. It's not the week after unleavened bread. You understand? Because if it was the day after the Passover and you can't even touch leaven, how are you giving the sacrifice? And leaven was not even our households. You understand what I'm saying? Barley has leaven in it. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how you know. You have to understand, like we brought out in the spirit, you have to understand a farmer's mentality to deal with that. You see what I'm saying? When you got that farmer's mentality, and then everything else falls into place. So, like I said, our first fruit always falls between the 8th and the 29th for the first day, going into July 3rd to the 10th or 17th. Because we count it from the morrow after the Sabbath when we determine the barley. Because like I said, I know how to farm. Right. Brother knows how to farm. We understand agriculture and things like that. But then also, I understand the lunar calendar. I understand the solar calendar because you need everything to be complete.
be complete. All right, question. Is that brother trying to get in tune the right way in the spirit and try to keep the Feast of First Fruits the right way, right?
Right.
And he's following the way, you know, that you're bringing forth the scriptures and everything. Where is the barley you're gonna check to see if it's in air or not? Is it in a local farm, or you going by the farm in Israel, or you going by the farm in America?
The scripture
Where do
says
you check
what?
that?
The scripture says
if our brother want to know.
Correct. The scripture says what?
Mm-hmm.
When you read Leviticus 23rd chapter, it says, "Ye shall celebrate throughout your habitations and all your dwellings." Right? Do I live in Israel? Well, how am I celebrating the new moon by Israel's new moon? They're 6 hours ahead of us. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't live over there. I'm in captivity over here. Now, if I was in captivity over there, because don't think because you go over there you're free, you're still a slave. This whole society's been designed to be you serving. Look, when Christ comes back, you're free. So wherever you at,
Right.
and whenever that moon comes and you do them dates, like I said, we got people in France, right? So the calendar that I'm doing this year, I'm doing one based off of what? Based off of our time zone for the congregation here.
Right.
But then France is 6 hours ahead. Some of their new moons are different. So I have to make sure, and translate it in French, that they're on point with that. You understand? So that they celebrate their feast days properly. Because they're over there.
Right.
Now, if they wanted to come do the Passover with us, they could. And do it on the day that we do it on. Because again, we're under grace. You see what I'm saying? So you don't gotta go crazy. Oh, I gotta do it in Israel and this and all that. Who said you gotta do it in Israel? We have gay parades like here in America.
Right.
Israel, let's not act like the scriptures didn't say Israel's gonna be destroyed thoroughly.
Con. No, I'm talking more so like a lot of Israelites, we city-minded.
Right,
We
exactly.
not, and yes, we know that Israel is an agrarian society back
Right.
then, according to the scriptures. But now we in the city, we in New York, we in Jersey, Philly, wherever. How do we start looking to find out when the barley season starts so you could get a good actual timing to figure out how you're going to
Read
do
a
it?
book.
You know what I'm
Read a
saying?
book. Read a book. Get the Farmer's Almanac. You
So
understand?
Farm and Almanac,
Farmer's
that's one
Almanac.
good source.
Good. Farmer's Almanac, any agricultural book.
Con.
Any agricultural book you get. You understand? And that's like I said, the way we do the barley harvest is not according to Israel. We do the first fruits, the barley and the wheat harvest according to how we live here. Because we live here. You see what I'm saying? We live in America. We live in Babylon. So you do it according to wherever your dwellings are. But when you're doing it, it has to be 7 consecutive Sabbaths, the total 49 days, and on the 50th day you send up that new sacrifice. Because the 50th, the 49th day is what? When you're doing the sacrifice, you're bringing your wheat. You're bringing your wheat harvest. Then after that, 50th day is complete. But those are the keys that it gives you. It tells you 7 Sabbaths. Begin to count when you put the sickle to the corn. After you begin to count, you put the sickle on the corn, count the 7 Sabbaths, then you give that new sacrifice. You give that next offering. And then that's when your wheat comes in. And if everybody in the nation is doing that, the Levites are fed all year round. Because you're doing that during the first fruits. And not only were you tithing, you were tithing your barley and your wheat, your oil, your wine, and everything. You think that the priest was making no, that was your grapes and all that you was giving to him. And the thing about it is just because brothers will tell you tithe isn't money. According to scriptures, tithe is money too. Because if you lived in a far journey,
You to cash them crops in.
you cash them crops in.
And bring the money up.
And you bring the money. It told you do 2 things. It told you take that money and buy whatever your heart lusteth and have a celebration. And the 10th you give to the priest. So when brothers try to say, and not only that, Abraham, when he came from the spoils, what did Melchizedek take from him? A 10th of all.
Yep.
You think he spoiled a goddamn a cotton field, a barley field? No, he took 10th of his cattle, everything that he had, silver, everything that he had. Spoils is spoils. That's what it is. So that's how it is. But that's how we determine the first fruits. We break it down that way in the spirit of Yahushua. You understand? But like I said, it's not even a battle. It's nothing like it because we don't get into all that stuff, man. Like brothers don't believe the way they believe. Like get Colossians where it talks about judge no man. Because again, none of us are gonna be perfect with what we do. Number one, if you want to be to the letter of the law, which we shouldn't be because it's about the faith, not the letter of the law. None of us are the sons of Aaron. None of us know we the sons of Aaron. Nobody can sit here and tell me they're part of the sons of Aaron. Then if you're part of the sons of Aaron, guess what? 2 Aaron's sons were wicked, they were put to death. So no priesthood came out of them. Who did priesthood come out of after Aaron? It was Phineas. So now you got to convince me that you're from one of the sons of Phineas. See, it's not bringing back the priesthood or anything. It's about evolving in your Yahushua. Understanding the law and having the faith. It's a combination of both. But don't beat people down with law. Law. You understand what I'm saying? As if we following it to the T. You got to have a combination of both. You see what I'm saying? Because don't not give mercy, but when you sin, you want mercy. You can't do that. You understand? Don't say this man is this, but then you that. You can't do that. That's not the scriptures. Read that for me, y'all.
Colossians 2:16. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of a holy day.
Right, so it says, let no man judge you in meat or in drink or respect of a holy day. Going back to what I'm saying, so what if brothers think and brothers feel the new moon starts the new days of the week? That's what they believe. Not that. It's more important things than that. You're going to do a 5-hour topic over that. What about your Yahushua? You just showing more discord amongst the brotherhood. That's all you're doing. If you getting on it because brothers believe it's the full moon or the first light, leave that alone, man. Because that doesn't pertain to salvation if men are doing it in sincerity. So read on.
Or of the new moon.
Right, of the new moon, how brother celebrates the new moon. Oh, I think it's the first light. Most high speed. I think the new moon begins a new day of the week. That's a blessing too. Deal with that. Got it. That's what they believe. And men been doing for 10 years now. What you still going on that for? That's a righteous thing if they still doing it. That means at least they doing something.
That's what I'm saying. I prefer brothers that's making an attempt to keep the commandments
right, exactly.
in one way, shape, or another than the brothers that just say we ain't got to do it.
Right. And that's a fact. Brothers think it's the full moon. Fucking what?
Right.
But they still doing it. And they still saying to Israel, they still keeping the commandments, they still keeping the faith. So what's the argument over? Read on.
Or of the Sabbath days.
Oh, the Sabbath days. You know, listen, the Sabbath day, like I said, brothers that deal with the new moon, they feel the Sabbath days different days. As long as they doing it. As long as on that day, that's their Sabbath and they following it, how you going to knock that? You can't knock that because according to Joshua, we'll go to Joshua 5:11. Rehearse the righteous acts.
All right, fam. I know some of you guys are in here. You came in a little late. Y'all can feel free to hit the thumbs up button too. Y'all can always go back and watch from the beginning. You know, Elder Mathav dropped a lot of information.
That's Judges, Elder.
Yeah, Judges 5:11.
Judges 5:11. Come on. So read that out.
Judges 5:11. They that are delivered from the noise of all archers in the places of drawing water,
Right.
there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord.
So it says they that are delivered from the noises of archers, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the modern day arrow? It says they that are delivered from the noises of archers. The modern day arrow is the thermonuclear destruction. Right? So they that are delivered from the noise of archers, read on.
In the places of drawing water.
It says in the places of drawing waters, right? Mm-hmm. When you read during the time of Joshua, when you had that particular tribe that lied, that particular nation that lied, that said they were from afar off, that when they actually was from the next town, and then Joshua made a pact with them without consulting with the Most High. He said, what? What do we do now? Most High said, you can't kill them because you made an oath with them. He said, all you can do is make them hewers of wood and drawers of water, meaning slavery. So now, read that again up.
All right. They that are delivered from the noise of archers in the places of drawing water.
So they that are delivered from the noise of archers in the place of drawing waters, which is your captivity, right? Read on.
There shall they rehearse the righteous acts.
It says what?
There shall they rehearse the righteous acts.
So it says there, shall they, meaning a future prophecy. There shall they rehearse the righteous acts. So in America, we're rehearsing the righteous acts. So don't judge a man on how he's rehearsing the righteous acts. Because you wasting time. You just sowing discord. You don't even realize it. Don't judge a man because he feels the new moon's the first light. Don't judge a man because he feels the new moon begins the new day of the week. Don't judge a man because they feel The full moon is the first day of the month. Don't judge a man because he thinks the dark moon is. Because we're all in rehearsal. And the true answers are going to come back when Yahweh comes back. But if brothers keep biting and devouring, you sowing discord, you making your election sure. You know what I'm saying? So, any other questions, though? I'm going for days.
I know you could, bro. Listen, man, I'm gonna hold that, and I'm gonna let you, because it's getting late too. You got your family here and so forth and so on. So
they know what it is.
I know what it is too, bro.
It's all good, man.
Yeah, man. I got to go be a slave again, man.
Yeah,
Master waiting to whip my back right now, so I got to go back and be a slave, man. But yeah, man. So we're coming back. So we was here, you know, before we did this. Y'all can see we got the little lights set up there and everything like that, man. We're definitely shooting for that Caragua documentary, brethren.
Kingdom Harbinger and the Kingdom Harbinger Ministries.
Yeah, he was in there. Yeah.
Divine Shalom King. We come to see you, brother. All right, brother.
Yeah. All right, brother. So with that being said, man, just close out real quick. Just remind everybody where they can find you, brothers. Do you guys have a phone number if they want to come and fellowship with you guys?
Yeah, our website is anj12.com, anj144.com. All information is up there.
All right, man.
Just hit us up. Shoot us the email information. And like I said, the phone number's up there. You can hit us up on the phone. Hit us up on email, whatever. And yeah, we just do the work, man. That's all.
Hey, man, it's mine. For those
involved, man.
That's right, yeah, man. For brothers that don't know, this is my comrade, man. You know what I'm saying? I know this brother the whole time I've been in the truth, man. This brother got all the same battle scars I got, man. So
break bread at mom's do crib.
Yes, sir, man.
Days, man. 28 years ago, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. All praise to the Most High. And we still here doing it, man. All praise to the Most High. Most High is merciful, man. Family, with that, this is your brother Priest Dan. I'm going to say shalom, and I'll catch y'all again real soon. Shalom.
Damn, brethren, make it